According to some, signing to Beyoncé and Jay-Z's label is the dream. It's the ultimate cosign and the moment that changes your life. This woman thought that way as well. It's an emerging artist with a great deal of promise and drive. Till the ink dried. That was when the nightmare began. Or when no paparazzi around. There were no headlines about it. But behind the scenes, she was working on something much bigger than a record deal. One that is darker. At first, it all seemed unreal. This was an unexpected phone call. Management claims Beyoncé praised her sound. Jay-Z wanted to meet with her in person. They arranged to meet. Champagne smiles. A private flight, a lavish room, and no cameras at the table. As though they were mentors, they spoke to her. According to Beyoncé, "You have something special. See you at a Jay-Z?" Then they slid the contract over the table. She said her hands were shaking when she picked up the pen. The signing was made public by the label the following week. The fans were enthralled. Blogs branded her the next big thing. She gained 200,000 followers in 48 hours. When she posted those happy selfies, no one saw the look in her eyes because, by then, something was already off. She was not allowed to speak freely. Her phone conversations were recorded, and her creative staff was eliminated. All of her thoughts had to pass through the circle. All of a sudden, she couldn't post without permission. She was unable to tweet her own lyrics without a label representative inquiring, "Who gave permission?" Then came the pressure, the voice. That made her famous. They suggested that she'll switch it up. It was deemed very severe. You need polish. Her lyrics are too personal. They recommended focusing on what sells. She received a call from an unknown person one evening after declining. A song that was about champagne and expensive shoes. "We'll shove you if you don't do what we say," the voice warned her. That night, she shed her first tears. She tried to contact the people who had been so loving toward her. Jay and Bey, their teams, were now unreachable ghosts. Attorneys or assistants handled everything. She felt a grumble in her gut. Something was wrong. Then the DMs started using anonymous accounts. Be careful. They're not who they say they are. Don't depend on your lawyer. One communication contained only the term bloodline. She ignored it at first. Thought the messages were from trolls on the internet, but they continued. Private investigators, lawyers, and CEOs who allegedly had ties to a deeper network family or generational power then sent her a list of names. And that's when she got scared. She attempted to walk away, said she wanted to renegotiate, and asked to meet. All she wanted was to regain her voice without stirring up any controversy. The very next day, the label said that they were reevaluating the course and canceled her scheduled release. A week later, she lost access to the studio. Her social media accounts were then locked by Thelabel for the purpose of protection. She recorded a voice note that evening since she simply wanted to share her thoughts. She begged, "Please don't do me like this." In it, "I had good intentions when I arrived here." Her voice cracked. You could hear the horror mounting. She talked of being watched, getting calls from shady detectives, and being told not to put your trust in a lawyer. She said she was neither spiteful nor crazy. She was scared, and all she wanted was to get her life back. It was then that she decided to go public. The uncut video was uploaded by her. No gloss or editing, just her and her. Honesty? She was sitting in her car wearing a hoodie and no makeup. Although it wasn't necessary, she didn't name anyone in the video. The connection may be made by anyone watching. According to her, "I signed, thinking it was a dream. But my life ended up being a nightmare." She wasn't the first, which is the most ridiculous thing. The video spread like wildfire. In just a few hours, it garnered millions of views and hundreds of thousands of comments. Some accused her of seeking influence, while others commended her for her courage. But in the midst of the turmoil were messages from other musicians. While some decide to stay nameless, others have the audacity to come forward and say, "I know exactly what she's talking about." Then she realized in this fight, she wasn't fighting alone. She started cautiously and silently searching for past artists who had disappeared from notice. Formerly well-known musicians who vanished into thin air. It was unsettling what she found out. Almost all of them related the same story. Limited creativity, sudden cancellations, and ambiguous legal threats. One even told her that their best buddy had been banned from the industry altogether for not reworking a song that the label asked them to. Some of them warned her not to push any farther. They'll come after you. Someone had stated, "You're not fighting a person, you're fighting a system." That system was made up of layers. She found that most major labels were owned by the same 3 international corporations. But beyond that, she found names and families in journalism, fashion, music, and politics. These weren't just companies. Dynasties ruled silently for generations. The kind that doesn't make it on a Forbes list, but makes decisions behind the scenes. They provide the festivals with their blessing and financial support, the collaborations, and decide who gets airtime. They are in charge of the renowned pipelines. You cross the line, they also shut off the faucet. Unexpectedly, she contacted a former A&R agent who had left the company years earlier. He claims that in the past, emerging artists were referred to as commodities rather than people. It was not the talent we were looking for. When he told her we were looking for loyalty, stars were not something we wanted. We wanted a soldier. The term soldiers stuck in her mind because it felt just like being drafted into something where your voice wasn't your own, where your image was molded in a boardroom and your music was used as background noise for bigger goals. She thought about the push to fit in and how they made her change. Hair softening her accent and losing weight in an unnatural way. Every decision was based on marketability. Everything she did was designed to keep her in line. They looked extensively at her relationships as well. She received advice on who to date, who to avoid seeing, and how to smile in public. It wasn't a celebrity, it was theatrical. The most disturbing part, though, was when she started asking about legal issues. The label was given nearly limitless rights to her voice, likeness, and even future work under her original contract because of its unclear and complicated phrasing. It turns out that her lawyer, who helped her sign it, had previously represented the label in other cases. So she was set up from the beginning. Not out of fear, but because she was making plans, she kept quiet for a week. When she got back, she launched a live broadcast. Not for impact or drama, but for clarity. For any prospective artists who might be interested. Du went over her contract page by page, outlining the dangers, the holes, and the warning indicators that aren't addressed until it's too late. Thousands of fans, producers, and artists watched. For the first time, she was more than just a warning. She stood for the voiceless. And she made one point extremely plain. There are multiple awful trades involved in this. This is a matter of power. How it's made, how it's used, and how it fits in with the surroundings. They tried to discredit her instability was the subject of half-baked blog posts. Industry sources claimed that she was difficult to work with. A producer who remained anonymous went viral, claiming that she was exaggerating her experiences in order to attract attention. But that didn't deter her. If anything, it forced her to put forth more effort. Since the truth was now known to the public, she would not permit anyone to hide it. She started getting invites to podcasts, panels, and interviews, but she turned down most of them. She had no desire to attract notice. She was building a movement. In solitude, she built a private network. A few former insiders with little to lose, as well as producers, artists, and lawyers. They swapped contracts, spoke about strategies, disclosed flaws, and communicated over encrypted calls. A major label sent her a screenshot of a non-disclosure clause in an artist contract. It allowed the company to file a lawsuit against the artist, even for private complaints, an old document from a label executive urging staff to use PR to silence criticism was submitted by another. This was no longer a theory. was bigger than she'd thought, and it was recorded. One evening, an artist she had liked as a child sent her a message. The message was brief. Proceed. I didn't. I should have. It was a strong blow. Each artist has a backstory that was never told. She started thinking about what artists needed most: protection and structure, not sympathy or a viral moment. She began working with an entertainment lawyer to develop something new, an independent campaign to protect artists' rights. It wasn't brilliant. Even though it wasn't sponsored, it was sincere. They created contract templates, a helpline for legal help, and an anonymous Dropbox where artists could report questionable label activity. Murmurs soon gave way to conversations. In public, artists started to pose more queries. Some began to shy away from significant events. Others choose to continue being independent. The labels noticed. Suddenly, she started getting calls again. This time, nice and offering to patch things up. In fact, one executive even made her a fresh offer: double the funding and total creative power. She laughed and hung up. The chapter was over. She shared a video instead, serene and focused. They could have given you better from the beginning if they offer you more after you speak up, she said. Remember it. Millions of people shared that video alone. She didn't want to get even. She wasn't changing anything, but people were paying attention. Inquiries over equitable agreement structure were made by smaller independent labels. Young artists DM'd her every day to ask what to watch out for. She even received a note and a picture of a contract from one of them. All I wanted to do was sign it. You saved me. But it wasn't always that way. She lost endorsements, radio support, and friends. Every now and again, she wondered if any of it was worth it. Later on, though, she would see an artist reclaiming their name, a producer requesting more equitable shares, or a fan sharing her live broadcast. The headline reads, "The truth always finds light." And she knew this was bigger than music now. She returned to the studio on her own terms. No label, no handlers, just her and a microphone. In her first song, she didn't talk about shade, charts, or stardom. It is related to freedom. Furthermore, it was stronger than anything she had previously published. The numbers didn't matter. It was this that mattered. She was totally free. And that freedom echoed in every beat, bar, and note. She didn't just get through the system. That's why she pulled it open. She lighted the path in this way, allowing others to bravely cross it. That's legacy. That's power. In fact, she discovered her in this manner.